Okay, so I wanted to talk to you guys, show you guys basically how one of these user tests work. Over the last couple of weeks, you've been working on tasks and scripts, and this is the same script that I showed you guys, that I uploaded for you guys to use in the class. And then what you see in front of you here is actually a copy of the product that I'm testing today. I'm using one of your classmates to help test. It's Miss Shari Johnson is with me today. I want to say hello, Miss Shari.
Hey.
Okay, so wanted to show you, just basically talk about what you need. This is a pretty simple thing. We're using our prototypes. I don't expect that your prototypes are as highly polished as what I'm presenting to Shari today. You should have your script, just like the example that I gave you. This is, in fact, this is the exact same thing that I had for you guys in the online course space. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to treat Shari like she doesn't actually know anything at all about interactive media or usability design or things like that. So to just kind of go over what I have here, I have my script, I have the prototype, I have a pencil, which I'm going to give to Shari, or we can actually use her, she can just use her finger, because I actually have this set up like it's a tablet. I have a pen for myself, and then as I'm going to go through the script, just like it, I'm going to have you guys go through the script, and then you can see here I have some things for her to fill out, a survey, and then I have notes for myself to take as well. Now, the way user testing works with a paper prototype is that I'm basically going to ask Shari to think aloud, and that's a really important part of this, because you're trying to dissect how effective your product is laid out. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to have Shari basically use the pencil. Go ahead, you can take the pencil. And I'm going to tell Shari that I want her to use the pencil to as if it were like, for some of you, you're doing a web application, so you're saying like, I want Shari to use this like it were a mouse, and she's going to point to show me where she would click, and I want her to talk about why she thinks that she might click there as she goes through that. Now, that's a really difficult thing to do, and oftentimes you have to help your subjects. You have to prompt them a little bit, because it's not necessarily the most natural thing to do. Okay, so I'm just working from my script now, so I'm not going to read the whole script, because I'm going to try and cut this down. I want you guys to spend more time testing than I want you guys to be watching my video. And the script, you've seen it here. So I would start out, hi, my name is Jay O'Brien, and I'm going to be walking you through this session today. Before we begin, I have some information for you. I want to have you read it and make sure we cover everything. And this is basically going into the portion where I'm getting the consent to record. And I wouldn't actually turn the recording on until after I have that consent. So I would put that in front of Shari, she would fill that out, and then once she's filled that out and signed that, I can then start the recording. So I want to make sure that we have that. And you explain to them why you're recording it. Here it even says in my script, I'm going to ask you as much as possible to try and think out loud to say what you're looking at, because we need to have that information. If they're struggling with something, we need to understand why they're struggling with something. And I'm actually using a version of this test that I know has problems in it. I actually rolled back and used a earlier version of this product and an earlier version of the user test, because I know that there's some stumbling blocks for her. Okay, so I've done that. Of course, I'm just going through the basic information of the script. I'm going to give her the survey information, ask her which age group she falls in, what her occupation is. She's a student. And then ask her things about her habits, when she uses the internet, what her browsing habits are, that kind of thing. And this is for me to see how well Shari fits within what I believe the demographic for my product is. Then I give her a basic walkthrough, and I'm just going to ask her to start here. I'm going to have her look at this page, and this is just basically the front view of my site, and I just ask her to tell me what she makes of it, what strikes her about it, what she thinks the site is, what she thinks she can do with it, and just to look around a little bit. So Shari, looking at this, can you tell me what you think this product is, what this does, what you might be able to do with it?
I definitely think it's going to be about camera work and photography, because I see pictures right here and I see the arrows, so I know there's going to be more photos on the front page that I can click through. I can see that I can learn about the lens effects, community, definitions, so it looks like something that I would learn more about my camera on. Okay,
good. And she did a good job. Did you see how, and this is what we want from people. So she's even identifying, she can see these arrows. She's identifying functionality for us already. So that means, that's a good thing when the user can tell us what visual cues that we're using work well. That was a good piece of information there. So we're going to have some other, areas where maybe she isn't able to determine what we need to do with this product, but it's good to get some positive feedback as well. That's what we're trying to do here today. Now, you don't let that go too long. You don't want to do your user tasks too long. And then you tell them, now, thank you very much. I'm going to ask you to do some specific tasks. I'm going to read each one aloud and give you a printed copy. And then I'm going to ask you to do these tasks. I didn't print out a second copy, so I should have done that. Sorry. And then again, a reminder, as much as possible, try to think aloud as you go along, because that's what we need to try to get inside the user's head. And so then I'm going to go ahead and go to the first task. Okay, so for my first task, and now this is where this is going to go slow because it takes a little bit of time, and I want to make sure you guys see what I'm doing here. Okay, so I have my instructions for the user are a little bit different. I'm not going to give her the full task here that I have in front of me. That's the task. I'm going to give her this instructions portion. So, Shari, you've recently purchased a new camera that came with a couple of different lenses. You're planning a trip to the country and you'd like to shoot some images of the scenery. Can you find information in InFocus that might help you determine which lenses you'd use for shooting landscape photographs?
Okay, so if I'm going to go looking information for lenses, my first guess would be the lens effects.
Okay, so she told us she's already browsed it a little bit, so she's seen lens effects. She thinks that's where she should go. Okay, now this is the tricky part, and you got to try to do this as seamlessly as possible. I have several different prototypes here, so what I need to do is I need to move now through my prototype to the correct view that she would see next. Okay, and she has clicked on lens effects, and this is my default lens effects view now. Okay, now I'm going to put that in front of her, and hopefully you remember the task. You're able to remember while I'm talking through all these things. Okay.
So I'm going out to country, and I want to take photos out there. So looking at the options I have, I would probably say landscape, and depending on what time I'm going, maybe sunset and sunrise. But okay, I'll just go landscape.
Okay,
for now.
So she's now indicated that she's going to click landscape, and luckily for me, I have a landscape view. Okay, so there's my landscape view, what it looks like. And this can be the tricky part of prototyping, because I anticipated what I thought they were going to do. If Shari had actually clicked on sunrise, sunset, I would have had to actually interrupted the testing and said, "I'm sorry, Shari, I don't actually have a prototype for that view." But still, it's a good thing. Shari just gave me insight into what a user might be thinking, and this could be a problem with how I designed the product, or it could be a problem with how I have worded my instructions for the tasks, because I wanted landscape photography, and she has gotten to landscape photography, but she heard I'm going for a drive in the country, and so she's took it a step further. She's thinking sunrise, sunset, and that's one of the options I have there. So that's something that I need to think about for the future. And in this case, I think that this is probably a problem with the way I worded the task itself. Okay, so now I'm going to let Shari go back. Sorry, I keep on interrupting you. So go ahead and take a look.
So I need to decide what lens I want to use, correct?
Okay, now this is the interesting part of when we do user testing is that you want to give your subject the opportunity. You don't. What I'm trying to do here is that I'm not going to jump in. I've already told Shari that she got where I wanted her to get, and for the purposes of this, she's my subject and she's also my student. But when you're doing the testing, the idea here is that you don't stop them. You don't say, oh, okay, great, you made it. You completed the level, we're going to move on. You want to know how they feel. So what I'm doing here is I allowed Shari to just kind of look at it, and she kind of got confused. She was like, oh, wait, but you just said I was done. But what I wanted to hear from Shari is, does Shari think that she successfully found the information that she was looking for? That's what I'm going for here. So while I'm trying to talk you guys through this, and so now Shari knows the key of what I'm looking for here, ideally what I should do is I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to lay this prototype in front of her, and I'm going to let her think about it and talk about it, and then hopefully at some point she'll say, I think I found what I was looking for. And then that tells me that, yes, she got to the page that I wanted her to get to. Not only that, but the user now feels successful as well. Okay? But we'll go ahead and call this good. You got where I wanted you to go. You won't always. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to the next task. Now I'm being careful to keep my pages in order here, so I'm just gonna take the pages that I had, put it back on top. She's now back on the home page. So I'm going to put the home page back in front of her, and I'm going to, as I was going through, I would have, I want to take notes. I didn't do it this time because I was trying to talk to you guys about what my expectations were, but I would have, written down, clicked on lens effects, clicked on landscape photography, but considered sunrise, sunset, so that I can go back and I can debrief and think about, okay, what was she able to successfully complete easily, and what were problem areas, and how can I fix those problem areas? Okay, but I'm going to go on to the second task now, and you guys can't see it because I'm just trying to show you the prototype, but Shari can see that I have papers all over the table now. Okay, task number 2. You have some money to spend on additional equipment for your camera. You'd like to explore some filters. You've heard of a UV haze filter, but you're unsure of what they can be used for. Can you find a portion of InFocus that might help you determine what effect a UV haze filter has on an image? And remember to talk aloud and hold the pencil out to I want to see where you're looking and I want to know what your thought process is.
Okay, so first of all, when I hear filter, I'm probably going to be looking under lens effects, but I know that a filter is an add-on to a lens and not part of the lens. So I'm going to guess anatomy.
Okay, anatomy. And that's good. And actually, I have to look really fast because I can't remember if I have a prototype for that, which is almost like a cue to my user here that she didn't get where I wanted her to be. And that's okay. That's why we do user testing. So at this point I say, Shari, thank you very much for that feedback, and I'm going to write down that she said she wanted to go to anatomy, because I need to think about that. Why did she go to anatomy? What have I done wrong? Is my task not worded properly? Do I not have things structured properly? But my user didn't go where I wanted her to go. So I'm going to say, I don't actually have a prototype for the anatomy portion of this product. Is there anywhere else in this product that you think you might look to find information about a UV haze filter?
I have seen the lens effects page, so now I'm going in between lens effects and definitions, so I'll just go with definitions.
Okay, and this is good, and so I'm going to remember that. I'm going to write down, she told me that she wanted to go, she was struggling between lens effects and definitions, but she chose definitions, and thankfully for me, because it can get a little bit frustrating if you don't have the prototypes for your user, and you can't possibly have all of the prototypes for everything that you're going to do. But it just so happens I do have a definitions prototype. So here's my definitions prototype.
And it's a UV
haze filter.
UV haze.
Yes.
So I would go to the U.
So she's going to click on our U here. That's what she's done. And this just takes a second because I'm organizing myself. Okay, and now I have a version of my definitions page where there's some different U definitions on the left-hand side.
I'll go to UV haze
She
filter.
sees my UV haze filter on there, and then she's going to get to my page where I've populated some information about UV haze filters. And I'm going to set that in front of her.
Okay, so I see the definition, and I also see what it can look like, I believe, on this picture here, so then I know I've been to the right place.
Okay, so the user now feels that she's successfully identified where she needed to be. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm going to continue to take notes on that, and then when she feels like she's successful or done, you can just pack it up and go back to the front. Now the trick here is that if the user struggles, don't tell them where to go. That doesn't help you improve your product. Let them talk out why they think that something should be one place or another. That's the information we really want, okay? And I think I'm just going to do one more of this just to show you guys, but my video is now, oh, you know what? We'll see. It's only 16 minutes. That's not bad. We're going to keep going. Okay, well, maybe I do need to talk about post-test survey. Okay, so my next task for Shari is you're planning to take some portrait photographs of your family members, but each time you have in the past, you are frustrated by distractions of the background of the image. You've seen photographs in which the background appears soft or out of focus. You've heard other photographers refer to the effect as depth of field. Identify a portion of in focus that will help you understand how to control depth of field.
Part of this, because I do have some photography background, I would go to lens effect because I know depth of field involves a lens.
Okay, so we already know that I have a lens effects prototype, so I just have to dig through my papers and find my lens effects page. And this is my default lens effects page that she comes to when she clicks on lens effects, just like last time. And you can see here I've chosen normal. And it has information about why we call it normal. Okay.
And I'm just going to look on the side here, and I see depth of field third down, so I'm going to click on depth of field.
Okay, good. Now, notice Shari just did some satisficing for us. Okay. She's looking for, she wants a blurry background, and I know that what she really wants is shallow depth of field, but she found deep depth of field. That was the first thing that she came to, and she stopped there. If she'd gone down further, she might have found shallow depth of field. Now that tells me a couple of different things. Maybe I should group depth of field together. Maybe I shouldn't have a separate deep and shallow. Maybe when someone clicks on depth of field, I need to then present them the option of deep or shallow. I just wanted to say satisficing. Alright. And so here, this is the deep depth of field prototype. I actually had one for deep depth of field, even though that wasn't necessarily what I was looking for.
I can see that actually means everything's going to be in focus. So then I would go back to over here looking at the different options, and then I would click shallow depth of field.
Okay. And this is where it's really important. Like, I'm talking to you guys because I want you to hear what the facilitator is thinking about during this. But Shari had a little bit, I tipped my hand. Shari knew to look for shallow depth of field. But it would have been really, really important in this case if the user, they didn't know that they were satisficing, that they were, they just give them the opportunity to look around and see what they found first. And then, of course, hopefully they would get to the shallow depth of field. Give them a moment.
And then I can see that what I want in focus would be in focus, and everything else has almost that blur effect. And I can read the definition, and then I know this is what I want.
Okay, so she's getting a visual representation and some text that's telling her that this is what she's looking for, and maybe give her some information on how to do that. Okay, great. Thank you, Miss Shari. Mm-hmm. All right, now I think I will, just to keep you guys from having to watch through an entire half hour of this, I did have 2 more tasks. I had a macro photography task, and then I also had a task to take people through how to connect I was using Flickr as what I was leveraging to get people to log into my product, and you can see there's my Flickr login and the "you have successfully logged into Flickr" page. But I'm going to pass on that and get this going a little bit further here. And sorry, I'm organizing my papers just in case I need these to be in order later. Okay, so I've gone through my tasks with her, and now I'm going to say, I'm just going to give her some opportunities to just tell me more information. Okay, so I'm going to say, do you have any questions for me now that we're done about the product?
I don't believe so.
Okay, and I put Shari on the spot there. So she's probably feeling pretty nervous, and I really appreciate that she agreed to be my guinea pig for you guys. Okay, now I'm going to give her my post-test survey. Okay, and my post-test survey is going to ask her to basically I want her to tell me how easy it was to complete the tasks, how easy she found it to navigate the tasks, and then I'll let you guys read through that. But then also, so I want to give her the opportunity to just tell me what she thinks of the product. And of course, we want people to be honest. It doesn't do us any good at all if everybody tells us it's great. We haven't learned anything about our product. We can't improve our product. So we need to encourage people to be critical of our product. If people find holes in our product, that doesn't mean that we failed. That means we succeeded. We can improve the product. So I would put this down in front of Shari, give her a couple of minutes to go through and write what she thought, and then anything additional that she'd like to share about her experience. And then I would pass that on as well. And then I would stop the recorder, and then I would thank Miss Shari for her time and the test. So I just wanted to give you guys that basic idea of what a test like this would look like, because of course that's the next phase here. And I think, I'm not going to give the instructions on video because I can't remember what I wrote down for instructions. So I'll make you guys read it. So I'm going to have this video up online for you guys. You can watch it as many times as you need. I'll also have written instructions for you. And thank you to our wonderful test subject.